Good evening. We'll call the Hawarden, Iowa City Council to order on Wednesday, June the 10th, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. All present are council members. Councilperson Jim is on the phone. Mr. Pickner is also on the phone, so they'll be engaging in conversation with us. If you wish to address the council this evening, there are no public hearings, but agenda item number 1C, business from the community. We'd ask that you come to the podium at that point and you can address the council at that time. Standard agenda item number 1A, approval of the May 27th, 2020 City Council meeting minutes. You've had those in your packet since Friday. Is there a motion for the approval?
So moved.
And a motion by Travis. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Rob. All in favor of the May 27th, 2020 City Council meeting minutes, say aye.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Mayor? There's a correction to the minutes.
Okay.
On item number 9, it just discloses a 3-2 vote. The minutes have to disclose how each of the members voted.
Okay.
On the 5-0s, that's fine, but on the 3-2, we need to name it.
Okay. And on the agenda item number 9, swimming pool 2020 season. I was not present. The 3 that were in positive, do you have those?
Yeah, I have the names wrote down.
Okay. You will make those corrections then?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear that, Jim? Those will be corrected? All right, Jake?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Been a motion and a second, and I called for all in favor, say aye. That was
Aye.
5-0. So we will move on then to claims for payment. Since Jen's on the phone, we'll start with Jen for questions.
No question.
Okay, Rob, do you have questions?
No questions.
John?
None, thank you.
Okay, Travis?
None, thank you.
Okay, Tim, any questions? Okay. Been a motion by Tim, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Travis. All in favor then of the June 10th, 2020 claims for payment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 5-0. Next is open business from the community. Anyone wishes to address the council?
Hi, good evening. I'm Julie Coyle, and I'm here on behalf of the Hawarden Pool Committee. We want to thank you for taking the time to read our COVID-19 plan and to meet with us tonight. The idea for the group came after watching the last council meeting and listening to the questions council members asked about opening the pool. A reoccurring question I heard was wondering if a plan had been created to ensure the children's safety at the pool this summer. I completely supported that idea, and I must admit, I understood your decision to close the pool for the summer. I would have voted no as well. A safety plan was absolutely necessary and was needed to be created. I contacted fellow members of the community and asked them to join in the movement. The response I heard from everyone was extremely positive. We have a tech problem? Oh. Good thing I'm not. Do you want me to start from the beginning? Okay. There you go. I contacted fellow members of the community and asked them to join in the movement. The response I heard from everyone was extremely positive, and the plan that was created has far exceeded my expectations. We've also spoke with Deb Croneville, who's the Hawarden Healthcare Infection Safety and Disaster Nurse. She has endorsed our plan and ensures that we are taking every step to keep swimmers safe. We've also amended our safety plan today after sending it to the Sioux County Community Health Partners. They encouraged a change in verbiage, but approve of our policies. Therefore, the COVID-19 safety plan we present tonight is not only supported, but endorsed by the 2 regional healthcare safety commissions. We ask that you please take a moment and read through the plan, and we welcome any questions and concerns. Thank you for your time. So what Jalen is passing out is our plan, also some log sheets that we've showed for cleaning. What else? Oh, and to show you who it is that has endorsed our plan for the Siouxland Community Health Partners.
We're not going to discuss swimming pool for a little bit, but
That's fine.
are the guidelines you're handing out tonight the same that we received from?
They're different because Siouxland Community Health Partners encourage us to change some of the wording.
Okay.
But it is, the policies are the same, but we wanted to give you the final
Okay.
tonight, and that's what you're receiving tonight. right, thank you.
Do you know what the differences was
Yeah.
from the first policy?
Honestly, it was a change in the lifeguard policy. When notified, we had them sitting out for 14 days, and they've encouraged us to, oh, here.
It's under the lifeguard and pool staff, bullet number 2. It directly tells you what, if somebody comes down with COVID, as far as the lifeguard staff, what is required for them to stay home and before they could come back. So it would just help with Jalen and the assistant.
So it clarified and made things just a little bit clearer for everyone.
Thank you.
So yeah, we greatly appreciate that they went through and did that for us. I'm sorry, we also have the 390 signatures. Do you want to see that we did a petition? I can pass them around too.
Good, thank you very much. Are there anyone else that wish to address the council at this point in public comments? If not, once we get to discussion on number 10, we'll probably be talking with, asking staff for some clarification and those types of things for the pool and direction with that. Move on to the mayor's report. I recently received information from the Office of the Iowa Secretary of State in regards to the Safe at Home resource. This is an address confidentiality program for survivors of domestic and sexual violence, stalking, and trafficking. It provides a legal substitute address, mailing, forwarding, and confidential absentee voting for participants. It's my request, if anyone knows of any person that this program may benefit, to please notify our city office for further information. We've given that information to Mike and the city staff. So if there's someone in our community that could benefit from the Secretary of State's Save at Home resource, please call the city offices at this point. We'll move next then to staff reports, and we'll start with Mike.
The preliminary flood control maps have been released by the Iowa DNR and FEMA. Staff has been in communication with the Iowa DNR about how homeowners that are affected get notified, and we're waiting for an answer with that. And also, when they were here last November, they said they were going to set up meetings. Those may or may not happen due to travel restrictions by the state. We're really pushing for them to have the meetings. I would hate for staff to have to deliver all the bad news after having really not a lot of input that was allowed by us. We have, DGR did a lot of the elevations on the homes that were affected, and I think we had very little luck on getting any of those out of their new proposed floodplains. So we just ask that we will be in touch with the public. We'll get the information on where they can look up the maps, and also if the DNR is going to do a mailing to all those addresses that are affected. At our next council meeting on the 24th, we would like to do a tour of the wastewater treatment plant and the progress so far. Sam Johnson will meet us at the plant, and I believe if you want him to, he'll also come to the meeting to explain the progress they're making. So if we could meet there at 4:30 to tour the plant and check on the progress that's being made. And then as we continue to develop the corner of 10th and Central, we are probably after July 1st, we'll be getting a sidewalk put in that will run from basically along 10th Street, and then we're going to put a sprinkler system in. Our crew is going to put a sprinkler system in, and then we're going to have grass planted so we can get something growing there. And then any ideas, we'd welcome any ideas for further development of that corner. That is all I have.
Great, thanks, and I think it would be nice if put Sam on the agenda so he can explain to the citizenry, how it's coming out there, and how it's on budget and on time, and those types of things. Great. Jacob, anything from financials?
We're just starting the prep for the end of the year, and last week I had our auditors here, and we did some preliminary steps for the audit coming up this year, with hopes that we can get it done much faster this upcoming year.
Faster doesn't mean less expensive, though, does it?
Oh, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see.
Thanks. Travis, welcome back. What would you like to tell us if you'd come to the podium, please?
Citywide Cleanup went well this weekend. Orange City Sanitation's been loading dumpsters as fast as they can. We expect the area to be cleaned up already by the middle or end of next week. So, update on the household hazardous material drop-off. They have canceled it for the year. So if anyone is in a bind and does need to get rid of their items and can't hold them for a year, you can call over to the landfill south of Sheldon. This is by appointment, so you call over there and set up a time, and you can drop your stuff off there. It's a little more inconvenient, but at least you're still able to bring your stuff there. You can call the city office. They've got the number and the contact information. I believe it went out on Facebook already, too. Talked with Mueller Pallets. They will be chipping our tree pile in 2 weeks. Kind of had to make a deal with them that we would store the wood chips in our area until they can start hauling them to the ethanol plant in Chancellor. That plant is anticipating opening back up August or September. And basically, that's their outsource to all these wood chips, is to sell them to the ethanol plant. They've been shut down, so they're sitting on large piles. So that's a little inconvenience for us to store their pile, but we'll get rid of a huge tree pile, so I still think it's a good win for us. The city parks received some well-needed playground fiber mulch, thanks to the street department and lifeguards who helped spread out 200 cubic yards of mulch at all 3 of our parks. Sioux Commercial Sweeping, they'll be sealing our concrete cuts and painting the parking lot Thursday or Friday this week. And the permeable paver section will begin grading on Monday, June 15th, and then the pavers hopefully be installed later that week. So that project's moving along good too.
And after all that's completed, we've got the lights to install. The city guys will do that?
Yeah, they pulled wire in there today, and we've got the lights. We're just waiting for that concrete to cure. We want to give it 7 days. Plus, I think we want to wait till the majority of the construction's ready to go before we set them up. So,
Larry?
First thing I wanted to say, it's been great to be here a year. 7 days past my 1-year anniversary here, so thanks for having me here. Quickly, as you guys probably know from talking to me, is that I've been working a lot on COVID-19 interaction with businesses, everything from getting them information on how to close down, how to open back up, how to do the social distancing, but also we've been getting a lot of the information out about the programs that can benefit them, including a State of Iowa grant that was given out, and also the payroll protection program. So we worked with a number of them. We've been keeping our meetings up, but most of them, of course, have turned to virtual. So we still do a lot of things with Northwest Iowa Development, a lot of stuff on our census, and then also Habitat for Humanity and a few other groups I belong to. A couple numbers I wanted to throw out is approximately, I'd probably say a few $1 million have went out in payroll protection program money in the Hawarden area. That includes businesses kind of either in Hawarden or right around the outside of it. And then locally, we've also had about 7 businesses that have qualified for about $134,000 in grants from the state of Iowa. These grants were initiated by IEDA, Iowa's Economic Development Group, and basically you could apply for those to help you get through the difficult first few weeks of the COVID close down. In addition to that, we've helped the state do a couple COVID surveys of businesses throughout the state. We actually did one of our own. Worked together with the chamber on a couple stimulus bucks programs, and then made sure that through our social media channels, our public network channels and stuff like that, that people knew that businesses were open. Also have been doing a lot of things on our revolving loan fund. We worked with a couple of our existing loan individuals and extended some time that they could pay back those loans. But we've also been busy with new projects and new loans. Just in the past few months, we paid out about $134,000 in new loans, which leveraged $296,000 of other dollars to get those businesses either expanding or opening up. This was in addition to the $217,000 of loans that we gave out prior to COVID, which leveraged about another $357,000 in additional capital. All the loans together in just the past 4 or 5 months have added or retained 33 new jobs, or 33 jobs. Been also busy with a couple of prospect visits and interactions with the state on projects that they have looking in our area. And we finished, helped the city staff and city legal staff also helped close the deal on the old City Hall. That is now in the possession of the new owner, and renovations are starting here fairly soon. Loans are just being finished up. Other than that, I'll bring up just the census. Right now, we're, as of this morning, at 70.3%. Our prior 2010 numbers were around 71%. We're going to continue to push census, make sure people understand how important it is to our community, and the goal is to get that number much higher than what it was 10 years ago. And so they can still do the census up until October the 1st remotely via their computer. But also census workers will start showing up at doorsteps in the next couple of weeks. So if you don't want to meet that census worker, if you don't want them tapping on your door, I encourage the individuals to go ahead and go online and fill out the census so that we can get about the last 300 households in the community to do their census. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Laurie. Those that have done the census online, it's seamless, so it's easy to do. Thanks for your work with all the COVID and working with the businesses, also with the local banks that put a lot of pressure, a little more pressure on them, so to speak. And thanks also for getting the drawing loan fund out there to people that can use it. So, Corey?
Not a ton to report. Much needed cleanup finally got done. We had probably 23 nuisance abatements that we were waiting for the cleanup, piles sitting in people's yards, stuff like that. So now that that's done, we're just under 200 total properties that we've done this year alone. So I'm not everybody's favorite person right now, but at least we're working together. We have not written a single citation, and we've gained about 96% compliance so far. There's a lot of big projects that we're working on with the trailer park here in the south side of town, trying to get that cleaned up, and the owners have worked really well with us and have really started to show pretty good faith at getting it cleaned up. So we're just going to keep working with them, and little by little, hopefully get that whole park within code. Other than that, not a lot going on. I was supposed to ask tonight if anybody listening knows about anybody that lost a man's wedding ring at the cemetery. It was found yesterday. So if anybody knows anything about that, they can get a hold of us and we'll get it back to them.
Thanks. That property maintenance, obviously, over years, it's just a time-consuming, difficult process. But having 96% compliance and having to not write citations, I think people are obviously moving in the right direction with
Yep.
making their property
I agree.
better for us. So thank you very much. Anyone from council have questions for staff or any council comments at this point? Hearing none, we'll move into other agenda items. From our recent rate studies on electric and gas, we have some ordinances before us that seem to be pretty fair and equitable. I was not here at the last meeting, and the first reading of ordinance 721 at that point was tabled for working out an agreement with LG Everest. Is that right, Mike?
Correct. We had the ordinance written up. We had conversations with LG Everest prior. Unfortunately, those came after the agenda came out. They asked us for a little better working solution. So what we did is we went back, put their recommendations in that their rate will evolve over an 18-month period to do away from the demand rate to the interruptible demand rate to the large commercial. So we've added that into the ordinance. In order to stay on track, staff would ask that you guys waive the first reading and go into the second reading tonight. Everest is the ones that are really going to be affected by this, by us taking the interruptible rate away. The rest of it's all revenue neutral, where the base rate, I think, for residential goes from $13.65 to $14, but the price per kilowatts will decline to make that revenue neutral.
So then, at this point, I would entertain a motion to waive the first reading of ordinance 721.
Rick,
Yes, Jim?
could you just have a motion for the first reading, have them vote and pass the first reading, then have a motion for the second reading, and vote and pass that?
Okay, certainly will. Thanks, Jim, for your expertise there. Is there a motion for the first reading of ordinance 721?
So moved.
Moved by Tim,
I'll second.
seconded by John. Further questions? Roll call vote, please, for the first reading of ordinance 721.
Kurth. Feldhacker.
Aye.
Bergsma.
Aye.
Clucky. And Olson.
Aye.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, first reading of ordinance 721 passes. We'll then move into a motion for the second reading of ordinance 721. Is there a motion for that? Moved by John. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. Questions with that? Hearing no questions, a roll call vote then, please, for second reading of ordinance 721.
Olson.
Aye.
Clucky. Aye. Feldhacker.
Aye.
Kurth. Bergsma.
Aye.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, second reading of ordinance 721 passes. Third reading will be on our agenda for the next meeting. Agenda item number 4, second reading of ordinance 722. This is an ordinance amending the provisions for natural gas. Anything you wish to say on this, Mike?
This ordinance, what it does is basically will keep the base rate for residential the same, and it will increase the base rate for different size users going forward. One of the examples I used at the last meeting was my home, the gas meter may cost $100 to buy, where we have a large user in town and their meter is like $10,000 to buy and install, but everybody was paying the same $9. Through our gas rate study, it was determined that depending on the amount of the gas you use would put you in a different category, and that base rate would be more. We're not doing anything with the gas rate itself or the cost of the gas.
So moved.
There's been a motion by Travis. Is there a second for the second reading of ordinance 722?
I'll second.
Seconded by John. Roll call vote, please, for the second reading of ordinance 722.
Bergsma.
Aye.
Clucky,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Kurth, Feldhecker.
Aye.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, second reading ordinance 722 passes. This also will be on the next agenda item on June the 24th for the third reading. Agenda item number 5, this is approval of the pay request number 9 to Hawarden Construction in the amount of $233,392.20. According to Mike's report, this is on schedule and on budget.
Very little change orders with this whole project, which has been good.
Is there a motion for the approval of pay request number 9 to Hawarden Construction?
So move.
Moved by Rob, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor then of the approval of the pay request number 9, say aye.
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 Those opposed? That passes 5-0. We also have a pay request, agenda item number 6, to the, this is their first pay request to the Firm Foundation doing the City Hall parking lot project in the amount of $161,282.45. Any comments about this project from staff?
Nope, this is for what's been done to date. It's for the concrete portion, and it's a majority of what the total will be on that.
Is there a motion for the pay request number 1 to Firm Foundations?
So moved.
Moved by Tim, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Travis. All in favor then of the pay request number 1 to Firm Foundations, say aye.
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 Those opposed? That passes 5-0. Agenda item number 7, approved pay request number 1 to Vander Wint and Sons for the City Hall parking lot project in the amount of $30,724.43.
This is basically for scraping the old surface and getting rid of all the old seal coating on that part of the sponsor project.
Then they'll come back and do the,
They're going to be come back Monday and then do the trench for the pavers, lay all the different layers of ground in there, and then the pavers will come in and lay their pavers on top of that. So.
okay.
Who's the sub for the pavers?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
can't remember the company, but we can get it to you.
Is there a motion for pay request number 1 to Vander Wint and Sons?
So move.
Moved by Rob, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. All in favor then of the pay request number 1 to Vander Wint and Sons, say aye.
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 Those opposed? That also passes 5-0. Agenda item number 8, this is an authorization to release the real estate mortgage, 809 Avenue H. This house was under a housing grant rehab. 5 years have passed, so everything is complete with that. Okay. Is there a motion to release the real estate mortgage at 809 Avenue H?
So moved.
Moved by Travis, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor of the release of real estate mortgage, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, that passes 5-0. Agenda item number 9, this would be Resolution 2020-29, authorizing the payment of the 2020 tax incentive payment to Eisman Properties. Background for that, please.
We entered into a development agreement with Eisman Properties LLC when he built his truck shed on West 10th Street, and part of that agreement was a tax rebate over a 5-year period at declining increments. This will be the first payment at 75% of his property taxes that he paid for this current year.
Is there a motion for Resolution 2020-29?
So move.
Moved by Rob. Is there a second?
No second.
Seconded by John. Call for a roll call vote, please. Resolution 2020-29.
Feldhecker,
Aye.
Kurth,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Clucky?
Aye.
And Bergsma.
Aye.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2020-29 passes. Agenda item number 10, discussion of future use of the community center and swimming pool for the rest of the year. We'll discuss that in order as it is on the agenda. So we'll talk a little bit first about the community center, and Mike has some information to give us verbally about kind of what he's found in other communities and those types of things. So, and the governor's given some new input today also. So.
Correct. On the community center, one of the concerns was if we rent it out, how do we properly make sure that it's sterilized and cleaned properly? TNT out of Hinton has a machine you can buy, and it's a fine mist machine that you can spray. It's with a food grade chemical. It's called Guardian. We use it right now in the office. The hospital's using it as well. We thought we could sterilize everything. It will kill the virus. And so after a rental, we'll come in and spray it with that. It leaves no residue on anything like that. We have found in the offices that it's been fine. It is food grade, so it's not like a dangerous chemical that'll hurt anything. So we thought we could do that for the community center if we continue to rent it. We do have it scheduled to be rented June 20th for graduation if council allows it to be rented. And then July 11th, there's a fundraiser. Today, the governor lifted the half capacity on virtually everything, but does still encourage social distancing. So we'll have to make sure that the social distancing is, the way she put it, there has to be a reasonable effort to ensure social distancing, whether it's in a business or a rental or anything like that. So those are some steps we'll have to take if council allows it to be rented.
What's the cost?
What we did is we bought 4 gallons of it in March, and it was like $100 for the 4 gallons, and it just takes a few ounces per gallon to mix that. So I think we've been using it at the wastewater plant, and no, I mean it's a minimal cost, and instead of buying the big pump in the machine, we thought what we could do is always get the hand pumps and set that on a fine mist and mist everything down. Talking to the company, they use it on glass and everything at the company, and it leaves no kind of residue. We've been using it in the offices on the file cabinets and the desk and the computers and everything like that, and we've been using it for a long time, and there's no residue buildup on that either. The hospital does it as well, and it's not something you put on and wipe off. You leave it on and let it dry on there. It takes 10 minutes to kill the COVID-19 virus when using that.
Now with the nicer weather, weak-haired children are they using our facility as they have in the colder weather times, or?
Not as much in the summer. If it's extremely hot in the afternoon, they'll use it, or if it's raining, they'll use it in spring, summer, and fall. Most of the time, they're outside on the playground area. In the wintertime, they'll use it quite often.
You visited a little bit with other communities in regards to their community centers? Or
I did. I contacted Sioux Center, Orange City, and Rock Valley and Hall on theirs, and they haven't done anything different. They're renting it. They're leaving the social distancing as the responsibility of the people that are renting it. They're actually not even doing the extra cleaning with the Guardian solution and things like that. So they're just cleaning as normal. But we thought, I don't think they're allowing a daycare to use theirs like we do. So we thought with the extra step of using the Guardian, it would hopefully alleviate those issues.
Sounds good to me.
I'm okay with that.
John, Rob?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing out with our lodges and stuff.
question then for Jim, since I think they took a motion to close the last time. Do we need to take a motion to,
We didn't have a motion to close the community center. We left that as further discussion at the next meeting.
okay, so then we just had a discussion, so nothing needs to be done at all.
Yep. As long as I know you guys are okay with opening it, we'll open it up to rentals.
And we'll emphasize to those that are obviously using the facility to
Yes.
do
Yep.
their best on social distancing, and
We'll probably even put some signs in there at the entrance and things like that.
would that be our obligation to have, that being said, would that be our obligation to supply the hand sanitizer and those types of things, or would that be part of the rental agreement that, or just?
Yeah, I don't think
How does
there's,
that work?
I don't think there's anything in writing on that. I think more our obligation would follow the signage and things like that. And we could always get hand sanitizer for the restrooms and things like that, or even in the entrance. Hand sanitizers becoming more and more readily available again, so I think we can find some that, we can put at the entrances and in the restrooms.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, my one question was about the signage.
I'm sorry?
On the rental agreement, should we include something that informs them it's their responsibility and some sort of
Yeah,
communication that way?
that would probably be a good idea to put on there, some kind of COVID-19 warning or something like that these are still in effect, so.
And just a reminder, because everybody seems to think it's gone, and I don't think it has.
It's not gone.
Help to give them a reminder for their, for their guests and those types of folks that they're inviting, so. Anything else in regards to community center? I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
Okay, we'll move then into the swimming pool, and thanks for the folks that have come this evening. And they have brought the final draft of their guidelines. And I don't know if we back up and say that, the governor's changed a few things in her request today. So how we wish to go about this discussion, if we wish to take a little bit of time and read the final draft. But that being said, the only changes were under pool staff and lifeguard, correct? Just give us an overview of what the governor has said today, if you would.
Previous to this morning, the governor had all the pools locked down until June 17th. This morning, she came out and said as of 8 a.m. on June 12th, that pools can be open. With that same proclamation, she did lift the half capacity on businesses and everything. But she still said that we have to do our best to encourage social distancing. So that remains into effect, I guess, the social distancing part, but the capacities and everything are anything that we want them to be. Even though she's lifted it, doesn't mean that council can't offer more stringent guidelines, or we can't go by some of these more stringent guidelines that have been laid out, or anything that anybody wants to add.
And with all capacity, does that also pertain to the bathhouses? They would be open also?
They can be.
They would be allowed to be.
Right. The state has allowed all of that to be open.
Okay. We have the director of the pool here. Would you like to maybe come to the podium and give some of your thoughts and observations from what you've had discussions with folks, and
Yes.
what you could tell the council and staff, and how we could proceed?
Yes, thank you for having me. So far, I think this plan that we've come up with, the pool committee with citizens of Hawarden, I think that this plan is really good, even before the governor lifted capacity. I think we could still do half capacity if you guys wanted to do that, but full capacity can still be done with the extra cleaning, and I think all my lifeguards are capable of doing that with The Guardian disinfectant, we will be disinfecting in the morning before we open and at night, just to be sure. And every hour throughout the day, handrails, bathrooms, diving board railings, all things that are frequently touched. We would still like to do the social distancing X's where you line up to come in, line up on the diving boards, just keep kids far away because they like to bunch up kind of sometimes. So things like that I think are still a good idea. And I think with talking to many of the citizens of the town, I think that they would really wish to see the pool open. And I think it's great, something for kids to do since school's been out and everything else. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I have none.
Okay, this is Jen. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, you're very well here. Yep, thank you.
And I just want to thank you for your work and the other life partners for your work in this plan. I just want to make a couple comments in light of what happened after the last city council meeting. Sorry, there is a delay in my phone, so it's kind of fun. What I'd like to say is that this meeting is posted on the website and open to the public at least 5 to 6 days. And some of my questions kind of came from that, was where these comments, where were all these questions, this plan before? As a result of taking a reactive approach rather than a proactive approach, this has become an us versus them issue. How is council supposed to gauge what our community is thinking? We don't know. I am also encouraged by your community support, all of this outreach, and I just encourage you in the future to contact us and to tell us what's going on. I just feel that if you reach out to your council, have a conversation, we can go in the direction the community wants. Again, I just want to thank you for your work, for this plan, and everything that came through. But just to know that we're all in together and we need to move forward together.
Thank you.
With the, it's a pretty inclusive guidelines that you put together. Just for clarification, I asked Mike, like on question or number 3 about the costs. Obviously, those are already the set costs that the city has set forth those costs.
Correct.
So I didn't, so that would be a question I had. I don't know if the council wants to go through the draft or through each item and concur with the staff on what their thoughts are with it. Question I would have then about the locker rooms, would you keep them closed now at this point? What are your thoughts with that?
I was going to leave that up to you guys to decide. Either way, I think either way could be fine. I think it would be safe either way, but just more cleaning that we could do.
Okay. And I had a question too about people bringing in their own lawn chairs.
Correct.
Now that she's opened it up, maybe we could use our own deck chairs and clean those. My only concern is I don't know if somebody brings their lawn chair in from wherever.
Right.
And they get out of it and it blows into the pool and might be full of whatever.
Right.
I mean, that'd be a concern for me as the mayor anyway. But I'm doing all the talking here. I shouldn't be doing that. I just have questions on the guidelines. So.
On the lawn chairs, if I just interject, what some pools that I've talked to are doing are allowing the deck chairs. They're just social distancing them, and they do have a few that are grouped together for families. Otherwise, they're 6 foot apart. They are sprayed down with the same Guardian, and things like that in between use and things like that. So I mean, obviously, if council allows it to be open, there's going to be a lot more responsibility on our guards and on our pool manager that are, going to have to make sure that these guidelines are followed. I do like having some more guidelines in place myself if we allow it to be open, because I don't know if our whole decision can just depend on what the governor says, and then now all of a sudden everything's all better and it's all gone. I still think if council allows it to be open, we have to have some measures in place to make ourselves more responsible.
I appreciate the idea of West Sioux or Hawarden folks, because obviously a number of communities such as Sioux Falls don't have pools open, those private ones.
Right.
Hate for them to, as some of our restaurants got impacted, for people from out of town to come and overwhelm our situation and overwhelm their facilities.
That's what I've noticed too, is some of the biggest concerns from some of the communities is not limiting some of the patrons that are there, having the Sioux City or Sioux Falls people coming through. So I think that's a pretty critical aspect to it. Yeah, I would echo Jen's thank you for putting something together. I think there's several people involved putting in a lot of hard work, so it's a lot easier to talk about details that way than to
Right.
speculate on what can happen.
Thank you.
Protecting the lifeguards and stuff. I don't quite get this why they're not going to wear masks, or are they going to wear masks?
We are not making it, right, we have not made it required, but if they wish to wear a mask, they can. We do plan on taking their temperature right when they get to work, and monitoring symptoms, having them sign something every single day saying they haven't felt any of the symptoms, and if I notice something, they're immediately sent home.
This is really, really risky for them to be around, 75 kids a day or 100, whatever you're thinking. And when you see what hospitals in any place, I mean, they're wearing full gear. I mean, you're having girls in swimsuits, maybe wearing a mask.
But they're outside, they're not inside a building,
I know,
and they're
but
spread
gonna
out.
They're going to be touching people. They're going to be touching things. I mean, outside isn't saving people.
Oh, I think it is. The sunlight kills the germ. I think the science is there.
Okay, so what happens if we have an uptick or whatever, instead of just 20 out of 150, if we suddenly,
There's been a gradual uptick all the way along.
Yeah, but I'm saying a big one.
I don't think you're going to see that because of the
We
pool.
canceled prom, we canceled all the things in school, we canceled the graduation, and now you're saying, oh, it's okay to go swimming and have 50 kids bouncing around, and you know what kids
We
do.
haven't seen an uptick in our campgrounds. People are using the restrooms. We clean them. People are generally staying away from each other a little bit more. They don't get right up next to you. So I
I'm
think,
saying kids in a pool, you know what they're gonna, kids jump around and have fun.
sure they will.
And the first
They're going to
week,
do
they'll
that
be
out.
Careful,
They're going to do that wherever they go.
but their parents will be probably with where they are. If you got 7 lifeguards doing a risky job for minimum wage, they're gonna tell them, don't do this or don't do that. You know what kids are like.
I guess I'm not seeing the risk outside myself, so.
And I do.
We have graduation outside, and all the other things outside, right, and we have school outside.
Things have changed since this thing started, and it's evolved more. They first said it was more contact. Now they're saying it's less contact. It's more respiratory. It's coughing or hacking on someone. It's more likely to get it that way than from contact. But things have changed because we're farther into this now than we were 3 months ago.
7 girls are risking their lives. It doesn't make a lot of sense. 7 old people.
Right? There's
Die anyway. I mean,
There's
I'm gonna
same
have a
7
heart
girls
attack
that are
or
probably
something.
working other jobs and doing other things too. So.
Really risky.
Guess I
Travis,
won.
some thoughts?
My thoughts really haven't changed since the last meeting. I mean, the stuff put in here is well thought out and good, and I agree with almost everything on here. I mean, the governor's announcement today, I was a little surprised when she took all of the 50% capacity out. So I'm glad that that's still in here if we're going to discuss it. I've been contacted by more people that say don't open it than do. And their concern necessarily isn't the fact that they'll be going to the pool. It's that their sons, daughters, granddaughters are going to go to the pool and contact them. The other perspective I've seen this week firsthand was being around somebody that was on the phone with a nursing home locally and struggling with the fact that they can't get in to see their loved ones, and they're seeing them decline mentally because of that. And they expressed concern that it's not just about the kids my kids' age or high school and under that don't have the same risk. We are a community. So when we sit up here and make a decision, it's not based on what's best for the 20 to 25-year-olds. I have to look at the entire community as a whole.
Right.
And I cannot, in my mind, come to a point where I can 100% comfortably justify that yet. And, yeah, so that's where I'm at.
The CDC has put something out about being in the sun, the heat, and chlorine is helping the risk go down, so I just feel like that is something just for everyone to know, that should be helpful.
They also say you have to social distance, or you should. And
Right.
I can't think of telling my two kids to social distance, but it just doesn't work. And ask me, they are aging all the time, so they should. But, and I'm kidding. But that I just can't wrap my head around it. So.
Well, they do reserve the right to ask them to leave too if they're not following the guidelines. So I think we would exercise that with some strict fashion. But
I think within the city, we've received 3 letters of, 2 letters requesting it to be reopened, and 1 requesting it to remain closed, hoping that it would continue to, just to remain closed. So that's what we've received from the city.
are we looking at some of the same comments like Mike said with signage, having some of those items up at the entryway? And
Yes.
the CDC also recommends announcements periodically throughout the day to remind patrons or whoever's there to socially distance or to break parties up.
Yep, we can do that for sure.
Is there any consideration of a pool log who's actually attending for that day? In such a case that something were to outbreak, that we could,
Say that again, sorry?
an attendance log of who's actually
Yes, we do have one.
for the guards and for the patrons?
Yes, we write down everybody's name that comes through.
5 lifeguards contacted, and what?
We have currently 8 full-time and 4 substitute lifeguards on staff, plus myself. I'm also certified, so we could make it work.
I would interject on that, though. If we start seeing our lifeguards testing positive, I believe that would be the point where we would have to reevaluate and close down.
Well, and isn't it, if you have 10% of your workforce in someplace, you're supposed to report it?
Right.
So,
Would you guys consider a soft opening, say 25% capacity for the first few days, just to see what's working, what's not working, and make adjustments before it is a
Yes.
larger capacity? Is that something?
Yes, I would definitely
Reasonable.
consider that. Would it just wait for you guys to decide when to keep opening or not, or stay at capacity?
The biggest concern I've had is just the expression of the risks that kids are starting to take now that they're bored and not having places to go. Fishing kids out of the river that they've never had to before and other places like that. So I think in a number of communities, that's becoming the issue is it more risk to have them in the river or in the pit versus somewhere that's regulated, chlorinated, chemically treated, all of that. So
like to give the staff some recommendation tonight then?
I'll make a motion that we revote on this.
Rick,
Yes, Jim?
if they're thinking of taking action tonight, I guess the first thing I would suggest would be that they have a motion to amend the agenda to act on reopening the pool. And if that doesn't pass, then I'm guessing the votes are the same as before. If it does pass, at least we'll have it on our agenda.
Okay, and do you want that a voice vote or a roll call vote?
A voice vote is fine.
Okay,
What is the pool readiness if they were to decide to open? Is it within reason to consider the 19th as the opening date?
The 12th or the 19th?
Still says
Oh,
the
on here it
19th.
says the 19th, yeah. And I think that because that this was probably printed before then, you guys would be looking at sooner.
Yeah, we could, I talked to the city water guys, and they said it could be open today chemically. I need a few more days to do an in-service training, get all my guards ready, CPR, saves, but we could do the 16th or 17th.
We also want to make sure that we have time to get the hand sanitizers and the soaps and the, everything that they need to make sure that they can disinfect and stuff properly too, so.
I would say if we're going to vote and decide to open, whatever that outcome is, but I'd like to rediscuss the rules if it does open. Because there's a couple other things, but I don't think it makes any sense to continue discussing that if it doesn't open. So,
Yeah, that was going to be my question. If we had some revisions that we were considering and we decided that it was appropriate to open, would we actually approve it with amendments to come? Or how would we want to finalize that?
You could approve it to open upon satisfactory completion of the rules as the way you guys want to see them.
right. And I think we should hash those out tonight publicly. So, if that's the case.
So first you got to decide if you want to amend the budget to allow a vote, reversing last meeting's.
If you want to adopt rules tonight, you could have your motion be to act upon opening the pool and adopting rules for its use.
and we can change those rules as the committee's put toward the guidelines. We can change those tonight if we wish to.
Yes, you could. The problem you're going to have is doing all this at the council level. It's not going to be easy to make changes to those rules. You'll have council meetings where you'll have to adopt the changes.
But Jim, if they make those decisions tonight before they actually vote on the final vote of the pool opening, they wouldn't need additional meetings, correct?
I mean,
If they want
I'm not sure I followed you, Mike.
If they want to amend any of these rules that they have in front of them now, they could do that tonight and then approve the opening as long as the rules that they want in there or don't want in there are placed in this.
Yes, they can. What I was thinking about is you open up the pool and in a week you want to change the rules. If it's all done at the council level, you're always waiting for meetings. We're probably only going to have 4 meetings before the time to start closing the pool.
I'm comfortable with that. Because the guidelines that are in front of us are, in my mind, a draft that have never been actually adopted by this board. It's a recommendation. So we've never actually parsed these rules at all. So I think we should be able to have that opportunity before it's passed.
No, I think that's absolutely correct. My concern is you adopt the rules, and then if you want to change them at all, it's going to be council level. That's all I was pointing out. If you were comfortable adopting these rules and delegating approval of changes, say, to a committee with a couple council persons in consultation with whoever you would want that to be, whether that be the city administrator, the pool manager, and I, perhaps you're not willing to do that. I just threw that out there.
It's what's best. I agree that this is, yeah, we should definitely parse this and make sure that we're satisfactory meeting all of our expectations.
And I'm fine delegating it down to somebody, some other level in the meantime. But
And having,
I'm for with delegating.
what was that, Jen?
I'm sorry, I'm okay with delegating as well.
Okay. So if tonight if it comes to a vote to open the pool with a committee to meet, to go through these guidelines, to make sure they are acceptable to the city with the city administrator, a pool manager, and 2 council members of interest, would that be sufficient?
You know, I was thinking that if you think those rules only need minor changes, you'd have a motion to open the pool and adopt those rules with future changes of the rules to be made by, say, the council, 2 council members in consultation with Mike and the pool person. If you don't like what they do, you can call a council meeting and reverse.
Does that sound reasonable to council members and staff?
Yeah, I would just ask on a staff level, though, that I need to know what you guys are thinking as far as what rules you don't like and what rules you'd like to see changed.
Okay, so if we get that far, I will appoint 2 council members to meet with you and the pool manager, and the other council members can disseminate their concerns from these guidelines for 2020 to that committee, and then that will be done in a timely manner if in fact you get to a vote and allow it to open. That sound reasonable? No comment from Jim, so it must be reasonable, right?
He's thinking.
No, I'm not thinking.
You're still awake.
If I may interrupt you, my only just suggestion would be that after you amend it and change it, I would just recommend you send it again to Citywide Community Health Partners for their approval, because they had some really good feedback for us. So I would just like to make sure that after you amend, that you then send it, because I just feel like they're the experts and they can really finalize and tell us.
Thank you. All right, any other comments before we move forward? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to amend the agenda for agenda item number 10 for not only discussion but action on the swimming pool for 2020. Is there a motion for that? Moved by Rob. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor of the motion to amend the agenda to enclose not only discussion but probable action on the swimming pool for 2020, say aye.
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 Those opposed?
no,
It passes 3-2. Next, then, we will move on to discussion then of opening up the swimming pool with adoption of the guideline rules as set forth by the Citizen Committee and others, with the thought that we will, if that passes, we will make a committee to go through these rules and adopt them as the council wishes. Okay? So is there a motion to open the swimming pool and adopt the rules?
I'll make that motion that we open the swimming pool in a reasonable time to allow you to get your staff trained and everything, and to adopt these rules with some provisions.
There's a motion by Rob. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. Further discussion?
Just like to echo the governor's words that we are opening things up, but it's not a sign to become complacent about social distancing, good hygiene, taking care of yourselves and your kids and family. So hopefully that's not being misconstrued with what's happening.
Point well taken. Any other comments? All in favor then of the motion to open the swimming pool, adopt the guidelines as presented with further clarification in a timely manner that the staff has been trained. Is that as you would put that motion? Okay, all in favor of that motion say aye.
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 Those opposed? Passes 3-2. That being said, I would invite 2 council members to be on the committee. Are there anyone that wish to be part of that committee?
I can be a part of that.
Okay, John?
I can be a part of it.
Okay, John and Jen, I will make that appointment to, for lack of a better word, the swimming pool committee to go over the guidelines for 2020. Also, obviously, Mike, city administrator, pool manager, and for the other council members, as you go through those guidelines, as you have those in front of you, get your concerns into John or Jen or to Mike. We talked earlier that we're going to do this in a timely manner, obviously, so what's a timely manner from your point of view and from Jen and John's point of view? How soon can you be together?
I can be available whenever.
Okay, Jen?
I'm the same. I can be available whenever.
Maybe look at Friday,
I think so.
Yep.
and then that will give Tim, Travis, Rob time to get any rules that they see different or suggestions into myself as well.
Okay, and then, as requested, get those to Cedar Line Community Health so they can give us more input on maybe any, our thoughts, changes, or if they see something in a different perspective.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else in regard to agenda item number 10? Okay, thanks for the community work, thanks for the staff. Have a lot of important work ahead of you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. We'll move to agenda item number 11. This is a consent agenda for cigarette and tobacco permits. 4 entities there. Is there a motion for that approval?
So moved.
Moved by Tim. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by John. All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 5-0. Our regularly next meeting will be June the 24th at the same time. Number of ordinance readings, and appreciate being able to meet here in person. Thanks to the staff for their accommodations. Thanks for everybody's input tonight. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by John, seconded by Rob. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Jen, thanks to you and Jen for being on the phone.